Hello Kalin Choppers! Welcome once again to my channel. This is Sir Job and welcome to Sir Job TV. Para sa lahat po ng mga new explorers, tsaka newly discovered pa lang po sa akin channel, please don't forget to subscribe and click notification bell for you to be updated with my future videos. So para sa araw na ito, let us continue to discuss the world of values education. So specifically, our topic for this morning is all about the process of valuing. Welcome to my video number 209. Good morning once again, Golden Choppers. So nabanggit ko na po sa inyo kanina na ang pag-uusapan natin sa umagang ito is how to value something. Okay, so let us discuss now the 7 processes on how we have to decide properly, because this is inevitable to us. In every stage of life, kailangan nating magdesisyon. So ano ang dapat nating gawin and how we are going to deal these things? Yan ang pag-uusapan natin sa umagang ito. So accordingly, Louis Ratz et al. Defined value or the process of valuing as having 7 aspects and made clear that unless all the 7 are present, then what the person has chosen is not a value. So definitely, according to Louis Ratz et al., kung hindi mo daw na-follow ang 7 process na ito, okay, na kung saan i-discuss ko sa inyo this morning, hindi daw yan proper way of valuing something. Or, in simplest form, hindi ito tamang pagdesisyon sa mga bagay na ating kinahaharap sa ating buhay. So basically, we should have to undergo this process in order for us to attain, okay, the best result of whatever it is na pinapangarap natin for our lives. So definitely, values possess criteria which can be divided into 3 categories. So as what explained, okay, naka-divide po ito in 3 division na kung saan binigyan natin ng acronym na CPA. Okay? So are you familiar? Hindi po yan yung Certified Public Accountant. Iba po ang meaning nito. But you have to remember, pag pumipili ka or when you are deciding on something, you have to think on the concept of the CPA. So anong ibig sabihin ng CPA? CPA stands for choosing, okay? Second one is pricing, and the third one is acting. So yan po ay CPA. Choosing, pricing, at saka acting. So this is how we are going to decide on important matters, okay? In any stages po ng ating buhay. So simulan natin ang discussion sa letter C. Di ba na-mention ko sa inyo kanina na ang letter C stands for choosing, wherein nakalocate din dito ang ating step 1. Sa step 1 po, nakalagay dito to choose freely. Okay? From the word freely, meaning to say there's no restrictions. Kaya nilagay ko dito, pag dumako tayo sa step number 1, you have to choose without restrictions. Okay? Kung ano yung mga gusto mong marating sa buhay, do not think of any limitations yet. Sa step 1 ka pa lang kasi. Okay? So secondly, na under with the choosing, okay, or to choose freely, we have make an open field for you to decide. Okay? So going back pa rin sa ating statement kanina, there's no restrictions in deciding, okay? And do not think of any consequences yet, okay? So magde-decide ka, walang consequences, walang limitations, walang restrictions sa step number 1. So mamimili ka lang. Like for example, you are deciding of where you should have to go or to study kasi kakagraduate mo lang ng grade 12. Saan ako mag-aaral ng kolehiyo? So lahat ng paaralan sa Pilipinas, that's part of your choices. Yan ang step number 1. You are now thinking to where you could be able to continue your studies and college. Okay? No restriction. But on the second portion ng ating decision making, may mga considerations na tayo. So we have now in step number 2, we're in, nakalagay dito, to choose from alternatives. Highlight naman natin yung word na alternatives dito sa step number 2. Wherein, question that we have to address here is, what if the plan did not succeed? What if ang plan A mo ay hindi mo kayang masuffice? What if hindi ka mag-qualify sa school na to? What if hindi mo kakayanin ang tuition fee sa school na to? Talking about, okay? So, mga considerations na kailangan mong buksan in step number 2. That is the reason why you have to choose from the alternatives. Okay? So, meaning to say, in step number 2, kailangan mong bumuo ng assumptions. May mga what if ka na mabubuo sa utak mo. What if, what if, what if. You have to consider these particular things. So, here, you need to have plan A, B, and C. May tatlong plano ka or kung ilang dami ng plano ang gusto mong buuhin, you can have it. Pero I advise you, tatlong plans, okay na yan. So, meron ka ng plan A, B, and C sa step number 2 pa lang. And then, since because nakalagay dito to choose from alternatives, then you have to pick, okay, out from that A, B, C na plano mo, mamili ka ngayon sa tatlo. Okay? Kung saan ang feeling mo pwede at kaya mong gawin to choose from alternatives. Yan ibig sabihin. So, meaning to say, naging dalawa na ang choices mo or naging tatlo na ang choices mo talking about the step number 2. Nakalagay dito, since you have plan A, B, and C, it is time for you now to pick from the options. Okay? Na kung saan, ikaw din ang gumawa ng mga options na yan. That is the reason why I'm telling to you na magkaroon ka ng plan A, B, and C. Okay? Upon deciding on something in order for you to pick the best result. Okay? Yan po ang completion natin talking about the step number 2. Now, dumako naman tayo sa step number 3 na kung saan nakalagay dito sa step number 3 to choose from alternatives after considering the consequences of such alternatives. Okay? May naka-highlight, ibig sabihin, ang focus natin is to consider the consequences. Nag-what if ka na sa step number 2. Now, kailangan nating i-deepen yung ating analysis or understanding sa ating pagdidesisyon. Okay? For instance, you picked plans A and B in step number 2. Going back kasi may plano kang ABC, correct? So, dito sa step number 3, bigay tayo ng example. Okay? For instance, pinili mo si plan A at saka si plan B. Okay, as your alternatives. Kasi yan ang pinag-usapan natin sa step number 2, correct? Okay, so for step number 3, it is time for you to weigh the value of your plans A and B, which is more better to be used or applied. Yan ang dapat itanong mo sa sarili mo. After considering the factors, okay, the intervening factors, the consequences that might be happened, okay, in that particular decision, you are now ready to decide. Saan sa A at saka B na kung saan part of your alternatives or part of the options na pinili mo that you think you could be able to perform or you could be able to apply within yourself. So that's how you are going to choose. So nandito tayo sa portion ng choosing, okay? Na kung saan under ng choosing, meron tayong 3 steps na kailangang i-follow. Okay, right after that one, because sinabi ko sa inyo, CPA, wag nating kalimutan. So ngayon, punta tayo sa pricing. Okay, sa pricing naman, which is the number 4 steps na kailangan nating gawin upon deciding. Nakalagay dito, to cherish and be happy with the choice. Okay? Nakalagay talaga dito, cherish and kailangan be happy. Meaning to say, ang mga desisyon natin sa buhay, our choices in life, kailangan masaya tayo. We are happy for our decision. Correct? Okay. So here, you have to think of the expected reward for yourself. Very important yan. Kaya nga sinasabi ko, do not let others to think for you, to decide for you. You should decide for yourself because after all, first consideration talaga natin in pricing or rewarding ourselves is magiging masaya ka ba for that decision? Are you happy for that decision? You just have to ask yourself that one, okay? So you have to think, are you happy genuinely with your decision? Kasi iba yung masaya tayo sa social media pero in the end, in the reality, hindi tayo naging masaya. Kaya genuinely happy ang sinabi ko. Masaya ka ba? Tunay ka bang masaya? Are you satisfied and contented with your decision? You have to answer that one. Okay? And then, I don't know if na-encounter ninyo, but this is my favorite line out from that desiderata stating, Sa pinaka-last portion ha, sabi niya, with all its shams, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Strive to be happy. Okay, I don't know if that's correct stating, pero yan ang hindi ko makalimutan. Pinaka-last portion sa Desiderato talaga sinasabi niya, always strive to be happy. Okay, so in decision making, in the step number 4, in line with the concept of pricing, how are you going to reward yourself in the decision na ginawa mo sa iyong buhay? So basically, you have to think, magiging masaya ba ako for this decision? If hindi, pues, mag-back out ka. You go away from that decision. Later, bigay tayo ng one example in order for us to understand further. Okay, let's go to number 5 now. Sa number 5 naman, nakastate dito, to be willing to affirm the choice publicly. Okay, highlight natin, willing to affirm. Pero may word dito na publicly because at the end of the day, whatever your decisions in life, magiging part ang society nito. Alam mo na hindi magtatagal, malalaman ito ng buong mundo, ng mga taong nakakilala sa iyo. Okay, ma-expose ang decision na ito sa kanila. Correct? Okay, so basically, things that we have to consider, are you proud to inform the world for the decision you have made? Proud ka ba na ipaalam sa buong mundo ang desisyon mo? Hindi ka ba nahihiyang ipaalam sa buong mundo ang ginawa mong desisyon sa buhay mo? You have to think of that, okay? Kasi hindi natin to maiiwasan. We cannot get out from this reality na ang desisyon natin sa buhay, magiging parte niyan ang mga taong nakapalibot sa atin. That is reality of life. No, wala tayong taka sa situation na yan. Here, you have to evaluate, can you manage or handle people's opinion? Kasi whether you like it or not, magbibigay sila ng kanilang opinion, magbibigay sila ng suggestions, recommendations, mga comments, whether it's positive or negative. Handa ka bang tanggapin ito? Can you manage? Can you handle the situation? So you have to think of that, okay? Next, you consider the validity of society standard. Kasi may society po, may standard po ang society, as I said to you. Di ba na-mention ko yan sa previous video, bago pa tayo ipinanganak, meron na pong standard na nabuo ang society for us, okay? And we need to face that one. That's part of reality, okay? So basically, kung kaya mo na i-handle, kung kaya mo na maging proud ka, kung kaya mo na ipaalam sa buong mundo yung desisyon na ginawa mo, then you go for it. Okay? Kung napag-isipan mo na ang mga bagay nito. Like for example, yung pagbuo ko ng aking YouTube, I know na kailangan ko ipaalam sa buong mundo ito. And I need to manage talaga mga negative opinions. Okay? I need to learn how to control my emotions, on how I could be able to respond this particular people, for example, kung ano yung pwede nilang sabihin against me, something like that. So yan ang kailangan mong paghandaan upon deciding something in your life. That is the concept of pricing, kasi you have to consider talaga yourself in the first place, okay? So that's it. So, CPA, balikan natin yung statement na CPA, na kung saan yung letter A is stands for the concept of acting. Okay, because you have to do it. Ikaw mismo ang gagawa nito. Basically, decision mo yan eh. So you have to play that kind of role in your life. So number 6 na step natin is to actually do something about the choice. Okay? Kailangan mong i-act, kailangan mong gawin, i-perform ang desisyon na ginawa mo ahead of time sa ating mga steps na finalo ngayon. So time for you to work for your plan. Okay, kung ano man ito, wag nating pabayaan. Kailangan pagtrabahuan natin ito. Time for you to work for your plan. Time for you to live and stand for your decision. And be brave for that. Okay? You have to act. Like for example, you chose this kind of relationship, then you show to the world. Okay? You have to act. Ipakita mo sa buong mundo. Kung ano man ang field na gusto mong tahakin, you do it. You have to act. You have to play that role. Okay, basically, yan ang pinakapunto. I don't know if you already encountered the line that says, plan your work and work your plan. So basically, ito yung representation niya. Plan your work and work your plan. Nagplano ka ng something for yourself, nagdesisyon ka for yourself, then the next thing that you have to do is to perform, to do it. Okay? So something like that. Okay, that's for step number 6. Now, pumunta naman tayo sa step number 7. This is the last portion in the process of valuing, ladies and gentlemen. So, meaning to say, sa step number 7, nakasaad dito, to act repeatedly. Yan ang pinaka-highlight. To act repeatedly to affirm the choice publicly. So, meaning to say, kasi naka-line dito or naka-state dito, act repeatedly. You do it again and again, the act, until the people will get used by it. Okay? So meaning to say, kung ano yung gusto mo, kung ano yung napagdesisyonan mo, gawin mo to every day. Be consistent. Meaning to say, you do it with the same energy, with the same motivation, with the same excitement. Kung saan ka nagsimula, kung ano ang pinakita mo sa tao nung nagsa-start ka pa lang, gawin mo yan. I should have to share, kasi ang pinakapunto natin dito is consistency is the key. Okay, meaning to say, kailangan constant ka sa ginagawa mo. Kung ano yung ginawa mo on the first day, kailangan magpatuloy ito until the portion na kung saan you have to reach the finish line. Something like that. Okay? So, I would like to share because sometimes sa ating mga decision sa buhay, may mga pagkakataon talaga na nawawala yung energy natin, nawawala yung motivations, there are problems in our lives na kung saan puputol doon sa sinimulan nating pangarap, yung goal na gusto nating marating. Basically, may mga pangyayaring ganito sa buhay. But the best thing that you need to do, naka-state sa number 7 natin, you have to act repeatedly. Okay? And by doing it constantly, you will see, or later on, or one day, you could be able to observe na unti-unti tinanggap ka ng tao, minahal ka ng tao, you are being embraced by the people because nakita nila the consistency of your hard work, okay, on the kind of field, on the kind of decision na ginawa mo sa iyong buhay. So ito yung pinakahuling bagay kasi nagdesisyon na tayo ahead of time, may mga alternatives tayo, may pinagpilian tayo on the first portion, and then sa pricing part, alam natin na yung ginawa nating decision is makakabuti for us, beneficial for us, okay, may magagandang magagawa ito sa ating sarili. So, on the last portion of our decision making, you have to do it constantly. Every day in your life, kailangan gawin mo ito na maging part at maging habit na ito ng iyong buhay. So, basically, something like that. Okay, so in the area of choice, the value must be chosen freely. Okay, the value must be chosen freely. Kaya nga first thing talaga nating sinabi sa inyo, step number 1, to choose freely. Kasi dapat bukal sa kalooban mo, ikaw mismo ang nag-decide para sa sarili mo. Basically, okay? And the person is totally accountable for the choice he made. Accountable. You are accountable for your decision. I am not accountable for your decision, but you alone is accountable for your decision. Basically, yan ang pinakapunto. Okay? So meaning to say, you decide for yourself. Do not let others to decide for you. You should decide for yourself. In choosing a course, for example, please do not listen. I mean, makinig ka, but hindi mo kailang i-follow yung decision ng mga parents mo to what course you are going to take in college. Because after all, ikaw naman ang magpi-play ng role na yan. They're forcing you to take medicine and then you don't like that. So forever kang magpo-frustrate sa work na yan and you will not become productive at the end of the day kasi hindi mo nasunod ang gusto mo. Hindi ka naka-follow sa ating steps of valuing. Lumagpas ka sa ating step number 1. Yan ang pinakatotohanan dyan or the reality. Okay? So, the choice must consider the consequences of the alternative evident. At the same time, upon deciding something, upon choosing something, you always have to decide, okay? Or you always have to think of the consequences that might be happening right after this one. Kung gagawin ko to, ano ang mangyayari? Ito ang mangyayari. This is the possible thing to be happen. Okay? But sometimes, based on experience, I would like to share, may mga pagkakataon talaga na nakakalimutan nating i-balance ang ating desisyon. Meaning to say, dumiretso tayo sa ating mga decision making without analyzing, without contemplating, without thinking much more time, nagdesisyon tayo. So that is why may mga pagkakataon na nagsisisi din tayo sa ating mga decisions. But the most important thing is that's part of the learning progress na isang tao. Basically, tinuturuan ka na the next time around, you will not have to do this again. So meaning to say, essential to the valuing process is that the choice must be acted upon. Meaning to say, ang decision mo, kailangan mong i-perform. Ang choice mo, kailangan mong gawin. Something like that, okay? And should become part of the life of the person. Kailangan maging party ito ng buhay mo, maging daily life mo ito. If you think na ito yung magbibigay sa iyo ng productivity every day, then you have to do it again and again. Okay? Kailangan maging part siya sa buhay mo. Like for example, itong buhay na pagiging isang vlogger ngayon, I'm not thinking of anything before na magiging ganito ang buhay ko. But since because I decided to become a vlogger, so I told to myself na eto po ay part na ng aking buhay. Na magdi-discuss ako, magbabasa ako, I will make video lessons if ever meron akong panahon. Talagang ginawa ko na siyang maging part sa aking buhay. So something like that, okay? Because yung ating mga decision choices must be acted upon. So this is now the example. Nag-decide ako maging vlogger, so I'm doing now the things na kailangan, okay, ng isang vlogger or the role of the vlogger in the society. So something like that. Finally, the person must be happy with the choice. Very important. Highlight natin ha. Finally, the person must be happy with the choice. A choice that enhances the emotional and spiritual development of that individual. Okay? Kaya nga I would like to highlight mga relationships na nasira, okay, along the way kasi pumasok ang third party, may mga issues, may mga anak na sila pero nasira yung kanilang relationships. Bakit po? Because hindi tayo dumaan sa process of valuing. Itong 7 process na ito or steps na shinare ko sa inyo, very important ito. Kasi upon choosing someone to be part of our lives, kung pinili natin ito based on the process of valuing, I'm sure it will not get into that moment in your life na magbe-break up kayo. Masisira ang inyong family. Mabubuwag ang inyong unification as one family. Because I am always emphasizing as much as possible we hold on to that concept of a family. Okay? Kasi as I said, kawawa yung mga bata, no? Na they have that psychological trauma na they have no mother, they have no father. At the end of the day, in that relationship, in that family, for example, supposedly dapat buo ito when you're deciding. Correct? So, you just have to think, masaya ba ako for this particular person? Kasi kung hindi ako masaya, then it's time for you to go away from that relationship and to let that person get out from your life. Huwag mo siyang pakasalan because of awa factor and other things. Okay? You should have to think, happy ba ako sa kanya? Masaya ba ako? If pipiliin ko ba siya, is there any emotional and spiritual development to be happened within the relationship? That's what you need to decide and to think about. Okay? So I hope that while watching this video, you should also have to think on how you could be able to innovate this particular 7 steps, okay, in the process of valuing, in the process of decision making, in the process of choosing something within our lives. Because remember, as I said to you, going back sa early part ng video na ito, we cannot get out from that reality. Every day in our lives, in every level, in every stage of our journey in this world, we really need to decide. And for you to be able to craft the best decision in life, you should have to follow the 7th step in the process of valuing. So that will be all for this morning. I hope you learned something from this video and I hope that you will share this video to your friends and to anybody else that you think nangailangan ng video na ito. Asahan niyo po that Sir Job TV will continue to discuss more meaningful videos, especially in the world of social sciences. Thank you once again for watching. Bye-bye!